Yes, you guys, and how you all doing today? I'm Nini FC, this is Beelines TV, and welcome to a 4 talking points video after our 2-2 draw against Borussia Monchengladbach. Now, for today's video, I'm going to discuss who should be the centre-back pairing for the game against Man United. I'm going to talk all things Mason Mount and why this guy is a guaranteed first-team player. I'm going to discuss what the return of Kante means. And to end things, I'm going to discuss who should be the main striker up front for us for this season. However, before I get into anything, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. Download the OneFootball app. You'll find it in the link in the description below. It's a great hub to get quick access to all the latest things surrounding the club. As I said, you'll find the app in the link in the description below. One more quick thing, smash that like button, help me get more than 1,500 likes today if you like today's video. Now, getting straight into things, and the first thing I do want to talk about is the main centre-back partnership for the start of this season. Now, over the past 2 preseason games, we've seen that Kurt ZOUMA has been Frank Lampard's first choice centre-back, and he's been partnered by either David Luiz or Christensen. Now, I can understand why Lampard would like to use Kurt ZOUMA. The guy's tall, fantastic aerially. He'd be a massive help for us when it comes to defending set pieces, and he's good on the ball and a very good defender as well. Now, I know that some people in the fan base haven't really taken to Kurt ZOUMA, and as I keep stressing, look at his end products, don't focus on the aesthetic of the player. You know, it's 2 completely different things, and I feel as if people don't notice the good things Kurt ZOUMA does because he doesn't look as elegant doing it. I think another thing that's taken people by surprise with ZOUMA as well is that we're forgetting that the guy's a slow burner during pre-season. You know, once the competition starts in the league, he kicks into full effect, so stay patient with him. And for me, I do agree with Lampard using Kurt ZOUMA as the main defender for now. And when you analyse between Christensen and David Luiz, you start to realise who the best option is between them. Now with Christensen, I really sympathise with the guy. I think last season with Sarri, I don't think he did enough from a rotation aspect. I feel as if Christensen's confidence definitely suffered because Sarri wasn't showing enough confidence in the player. You need to realise that when you're playing consistently for a while and then a manager comes in and just doesn't favour you with things that are outside of your control, you can start to see how that may affect the confidence of a player. Now yes, Christensen has been making some defensive mistakes, but I don't think it comes down to deficiencies in his game. I think it mostly comes down to confidence. And I hope that Lampard does regularly rotate between Christensen and David Luiz because I think that with more consistent game time, Christensen can really show what he's really about. When you consider this preseason that these guys aren't playing 90 minutes together, you know, it's not enough time within 45 minutes of a half to really build a partnership. It's not going to happen, and I'm going to keep stressing this. Defending is a team game. It's about being a unit. It's about complementing each other and forming that partnership. You know, it's not about being 2 great individual players. And I think over time, once Christensen and ZOUMA really understood each other's game, I think these guys could really complement each other. Now, moving on to David Luiz, and for me, he should be the main guy to partner Kurt ZOUMA. I think, as we noticed, particularly in the first half, we constantly kept losing possession in our own half. Gladbach's pressing was on point. They were really stopping our defence from progressing the ball out from the back. And when you know that under Lampard's, building out from the middle is quite crucial. And this is where David Luiz is super helpful for this team. Now, I get that some people still think he's a defensive liability, but really be honest with yourself. Ask yourself this: does David Luiz's negatives outweigh his positives? Is David Luiz really the main reason why we concede goals? And yeah, I know that people do respect that he's a great passer of the ball, but I think too often his passing game is dismissed. And it's dismissed so much that are people forgetting that we're not in the 90s anymore? Defenders in modern day football need to do more than just defend or win aerial balls. A lot of times now, when it comes to breaking teams down, it starts from the back. And this is where guys like David Luiz have their place in football and really help improve the team. David Luiz is a godsend for players because you know that if you're under pressure, you can release the ball to David Luiz because 99% of the time, he's not going to lose the ball and he's going to make something positive happen. When you look at how he uses the ball. Now, I know that a lot of people really critique him for his long passes by calling them effortless or just hitting them out for no reason. And some people might say, Nini, his pass completion rate isn't as high, but you need to realise, look at the positions David Luiz is making his passes. The guy regularly spraying 70-yard, 80-yard passes, and from playing accurate balls from that distance at this level of football, I feel as if this passing range really needs to be respected. And this is the main reason why David Luiz and Kurt ZOUMA need to play together. Now, moving on to the second point, and where exactly will N'Golo Kante play? Now, in yesterday's game, we did see Kante replacing Kovacic, and he played alongside Jorginho in the pivot. Now, later on, I'm going to discuss a little theory I have on how Lampard may decide to use N'Golo Kante. However, I want to discuss the immediate benefits you get from Kante playing in the pivot. The immediate benefit we will get is Kante's exceptional 50-50 tackling. Now, Kante has the rare ability to come out on top from most 50-50 duels, and when you're playing against teams that are most likely trying to counter-attack against you, having an N'Golo Kante there, winning back possession, to then release it to a Jorginho or one of the front three is going to be instrumental in helping us create counter-attacks for ourselves. Kante also provides legs as well because he does work harder than Kovacic. That's not a bad thing to say, and when you consider that during pre-season the gaps between the defence and the midfield have been a bit too far apart at times, having Kante back playing in the pivot is really going to help secure us more centrally. Now, moving on to my theory, and I've considered that maybe Lampard may decide to bring back the 4-3-3 to accommodate N'Golo Kante, because when you assess Kante's game, you know that it's best for him to be in the opposition half, winning back possession, pressing high. And when you consider that the system that Lampard's introducing to the team is based on winning the ball back in the opponent's half, well, if you've got N'Golo Kante in the final third doing that, that's only going to boost your attacking chances. And if Lampard does bring back the 4-3-3, it's most likely going to be less rigid than Sarri's system. We know that Lampard likes the wingers to act as inside forwards moving in the field. We know that Mason Mount playing as a number 8 because of course he's better in deeper areas compared to Ross Barkley. He'd be able to link up with the guys in the final third. And most importantly, he can attack the spaces from deep. Now this way, Kante continues his role from last season where he's tasked with knowing when to attack during the right opportunities and when to sit back. But I could envision that Lampard may decide to have Kante being a bit more defensive compared to Sarri, and he'd want Kante to sit deeper a lot more. Doing it like this, it's fundamentally similar to how we're playing right now, and maybe this may make more sense when you consider guys like Reece, Hudson-Odoi and Ruben will be returning, and the 4-3-3 could be the complementary formation that Lampard decides to use. Regardless though, having Kante back in the first team is only going to boost us defensively. It's a win-win situation, and hopefully Kante gets to full speed and full fitness real quick. Now moving on to the third point, and I want to discuss why Mason Mount is first team material. Now in this game against Borussia Monchengladbach yesterday, his movement was the most impressive thing. I mean, look at the area he was in for that header then. And in Lampard's system, he constantly wants 3 to 4 players inside the box at all times. And you need players who have the characteristics to want to make those runs, that want to get on the end of them, and that want to attack the spaces. Now Mason Mount, as we can see, out wide on the right. And in that game yesterday, that was a position he kept swapping with Pedro all the time. And it got me thinking, is Lampard maybe considering using Mason Mount out wide on the right to accommodate using more midfield players? It could make sense. With Mason Mount, his movement in behind is so important that he doesn't necessarily need the dribbling skills down the right hand side. But as we can see, the guy just reminds me of like a De Bruyne. He really does. Whenever he's in the final third, he comes to life. I mean, he makes the right passing options. He's always attacking, which is the important thing. Whenever there's a counter attack, you know Mason Mount isn't far, and his energy and application on top of that as well. I feel that Mason Mount is quite special. He's the modern day midfield player that teams really need these days, and it's just great to see that now we have a manager that believes in him. I mean look at that pass then, eye of the needle straight to Tammy. and he's always picking up those half spaces. And if you guys should know, during the youth team days, playing out wide was the main position for Mason Mount, because it was the same thing for De Bruyne. And yeah, I think players like this are vital whenever you rely upon the counter-attack. Again, Mason in a good area, great skill and close control, and that's typical of the player. I mean, Mason Mount is very technically accomplished, and I really think this guy's going to get at least 10 goals this season. I mean, from his set pieces, free kicks, how he plays in the final thirds. I mean, we produce some real talents at this club. And for me, this guy is a prime example of everything good from our academy. Mason again, between the lines, creating the space, stretching the back line, and that should have been a goal. And that goal would have come solely from Mason Mount making that selfless run out wide on the right. Again, in the area, the guy's going to score goals this season. Played again by Mason, and movement is so crucial. There were quite a few times last season where we looked quite static in the final thirds. And for me, it was always due to the fact that we never had that traditional number 8 midfield player, someone that was natural, attacking the spaces from deep. But you get that from Mason Mount. Mason attacking the spaces again, and unlucky that his effort was on goal. For me, prime Mason Mount, making those third man runs, great improvisation, and his selfless running, how he complements the team, how he's always creating something positive. It's a prime example for me why this guy is first team material. Now, moving on to the final part of today's video, and that's a discussion in regards to who should be the main striker up front for us for this season. Now, the question is, will Tammy continue up front, or will Lampard consider alternatives? For me, the fact that Tammy started both games tells us that Lampard sees him as his main number 1. Wearing the number 9 is a big deal. The number 9 symbolises that Tammy is seen as the strong option. Now, for those who've seen my 5 talking points video, you'll know my analysis on Tammy and why his movement is so crucial for what Lampard's doing tactically with his team helps bring the best out of the midfield. And for me, this is going to be the main reason why Lampard does decide to favour Tammy Abraham. We know that Lampard is a pro midfield manager. He likes to get the best out of them, and it's safe to assume that it reflects how Lampard was as a player. So Lampard's going to do whatever he can to get the very best out of the midfield. Because in football, you tend to win the games from your midfield. When Giroud came on, we became a lot more static for a period of time until finding space again. Now with Giroud, he does not stretch the backline enough. He's the type of striker that prefers to move towards the ball. And for the team right now, we need a forward that's willing to move away from the ball. Now Giroud suits playing centrally and he allows runners ahead of him. However, Tammy is young, he's proving that his hold-up play is good as well. And he has that bonus where his movement in behind is superior. Giroud is a target man, Tammy is an advanced forward, and Tammy has been critiqued for his finishing, but I'm really not going to hold that against him. It's pre-season, the team are now starting to find Tammy Abraham. I think that was the main positive for me in the last game against Borussia. Most times the team weren't able to find his runs, but now they're playing passes to him a lot quicker, and with more time, Tammy Abraham is definitely going to bag in the goals. And for me, Tammy's only going to grow, he's only going to get better, and he's showing right now why he's the main striker to use for this season. And on that note, you guys, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. See you guys later.